All right, everybody, welcome in. We are super excited here. We're just going to let some people join with the awkward beginning intro. But in classic Vision Labs workshop, everybody drop in what you had for breakfast, the last breakfast you had. So if you're coming from Australia, that would be yesterday. But whatever your last breakfast food that you had, I need that in the chat because we're going to put, we just want to see the world where you are. So like, it's a one thing to have the location of where you are in the world, but um, I'm always I had some eggs and toast for mine, so I'm just going to put that in there, American. Um, so yeah, awesome to see people from around the world. I think I was checking the stats, Juan, just before we hopped on here, and I think we have like 20 countries that have registered. So amongst all the people that are going to show up or watch the replay, we've got at least 20 countries. Um, Hopefully, it'll be hey Colombia coming in milkshake. All right. Um, so yeah, we're gonna get started, guys. People are gonna keep hopping in. We might actually hit the limit here of participants. So if you get dropped or kicked out, just come back in and you'll get a spot. So we're gonna get started. So hi, I'm JJ. This I just want to recover our goals here. So basically, our goal is to understand and implement and act. Right, like that's what the whole purpose of using anything with data is to ultimately act. So just try to think when you're like listening to Juan, myself, anybody on the internet is like, what are you going to actually do with this information? Right. That's what we want to try and always get back to because it's really easy to have a lot of fluff, a lot of nice things. But at the end of the day, try to take something that you can apply to where you are, whether you're a consultant, an agency, an in house team, or just like to take webinars on the internet. It could be any one of those. So just remember that. A quick little aside about who you're talking to, because we've got a lot of people coming from all over the place, is that my name is JJ, we're managing director over at Vision Labs. We are an education company that works with companies large and small. We work with the data aspect of everything, and we are able to work with teams and in-house people to get them to action faster than before. So that's what we work with. We do a lot of fun and exciting things. And we also teach it over in the lab. So if you guys want to do that, we have an exciting offer here at the end as well. But that's who we are. So without further ado, I've talked enough about myself. Juan, welcome to the stage. I'm excited to hear everything that you've got to share. But if you could give us a little background, who you are, what you're doing, and I'll just go from there.
Thank you, JJ. As I told you before, I am also Juan Jose, so I am JJ too in Spanish. I have been a marketer for my entire career. I have worked in SaaS, in agencies, and during the latest 4 years, I've been working in Porter, which is Google Looker Studio connectors, as you know.
Awesome. Yeah, that's like so Juan's going to share a lot of insightful things. He comes from the background of connectors with Porter Metrics. If you go check them out, they're pretty cool. Um, and the one last housekeeping thing, Juan, before I just kick it over to you, is everyone can put their questions in the chat as we're going. What we'll do is we've got a couple moderators in the back and they'll mark those questions as questions. And then at the end, we'll just answer them all kind of in sequence. So don't hesitate, anybody, to put your questions in the chat as we get rolling. And then we'll just come back to those. So don't feel like you're forgotten. Don't feel like you're left out. Your question will be answered at the end. There. So Juan, it's all you. I'll give you the stage, and it's all your time now.
Thank you very much, JJ, for that introduction. And mine that was super complete. I didn't say much things, but today in this class or in this lesson, I want to talk about how to analyze your Facebook ads data on Looker Studio. And why I'm doing this, because JJ and me know that 90% of the reports that are on Looker Studio are GA4 and Facebook ads and Google ads. That's it. So that's why this is the most important data source. But to understand how to analyze this data and this process in general, I want to talk about three things. Today, I want to talk about tools, I want to talk about systems, and culture. First, I will start talking about tools, which is Facebook Ads connectors, Google Looker Studio, and so on. Then I will show you a framework that will help you think of your marketing data. And maybe let's talk about some culture aspects that I have seen with our agencies and teams, with the ones we are working with. I will start with tools. Let's talk about Facebook Ads connectors. Maybe some of you are already familiar with Facebook Ads connectors, with Looker Studio, maybe with Potter. That would be great. But today, I want you to understand how a connector works. If a connector is breaking, if it is slow, if it is not doing what you want, at least I want to say why it is happening, so you can understand how integrations work in the backend. In general, Porter Metrics and other companies that connect data, marketing data, to tools like Google Looker Studio or Google Sheets, what we do is that we connect to APIs, to marketing APIs like Facebook, TikTok, Shopify, HubSpot, whatever, and we pull that data into Google Sheets and Google Looker Studio. But what happens in between is the magic. What happens in between is everything in this industry, and there are a lot of things. This is the only technical thing I will show you today. A connector works like this. An API, let's think of Facebook ads. Every app has an API, and an API is a thing that you can use to extract data from a tool. For instance, the Facebook Ads API lets me extract data from Facebook Ads. If I want to connect to HubSpot, they have an API and they let me extract things. And the way I can extract things is in tables, and those tables are like separate. So Facebook Ads has a table for creatives, has a table for conversions, has a table for campaigns, and so on. What is our job at Porter and these companies that do connectors? We bring those tables, and the magic happens when we let you combine those tables together, because we need to do a lot of things to let you combine those tables together. That's the magic, and that's how you can start pulling this data and combining it. That's how a connector works in general. That's everything that you need to know. And the outcome of connecting your data through an API via Porter or via a connector to Looker Studio is something like this. You can pull metrics, you can pull your data, and you can visualize your data in this way. That's everything that you need to know so far. Another thing that you need to know, Porter is not the only one, and I will explain you what are the differences between among connectors. And just a caveat, if you go to Google Looker Studio, the Google marketing reporting tool, you will see that 90 connectors show or have the name Facebook ads somewhere. So there are about 40 or more connectors of Facebook ads in the gallery, so you have many options. But today, I will quickly say some things. If you want to report your data with Facebook ads on Google Looker Studio, I won't read all of this, but this will be a checklist that I can share with you later. Here, someone asked, by the way, how about the API of Instagram? This is interesting. I will explain that. One of the endpoints of the Facebook Ads API is Instagram as well. So you can combine the data as well of Instagram. That's not an issue. I won't read all of this, but maybe you can take a screenshot of this, because this is a checklist that will help you understand or choose a connector. When you choose a connector, you want to define 5 things or 6 things. One that is easy to use, because some of these connectors are for developers. The second one is very painful, which is speed. Some connectors, and you will notice this, some connectors will load very fast and others very slow, and I will tell you why that's a problem. Another problem is granularity. Granularity is, hey, I want to combine my ad spend and my clicks with campaigns, with creatives, with audience, with gender, with age, and I can do it freely, and the data won't break. That's another component. A fourth component is stability. It turns out many of you, when you create reports with Facebook ads, Facebook disconnects very often because they are an enterprise and they have errors and mistakes, and maybe sometimes because of security reasons and privacy reasons, they tend to disconnect. So providers like us, we have different strategies to control these things because it is a huge issue. Eventually, you will want to know, hey, what is the historical data? If you have documentation, what is the pricing? There are actually free connectors out there. Or, hey, could I connect multiple Facebook ad accounts? This is the kind of checklist that you will want to check when you choose a connector. And some of you, this was the checklist to say, hey, I want to choose this specific connector of Facebook ads. And the third thing, if you are in the marketing data world, maybe you know these 3 options for you when it comes to create your reports on Google Looker Studio. First, some of you, if you started like 5 or 6 years ago in the marketing world when Google still shared their data, their keyword data, the only option that you have to connect your marketing data was via Google Sheets. And you will say, hey, Google Sheets is the old way, nobody uses it today, that's for non-technical people. But today I can tell you, Google Sheets is strong, is powerful, is useful, and has many use cases that have not been unlocked. So you have three ways to connect your data in general to Looker Studio and to create your marketing reports. One is that you can have your data on Google Sheets, and it has an advantage. Once your data is on Google Sheets, your data is on ChatGPT, is on Zapier, is on integrations, is on Slack, is on email, is on whatever. Google Sheets is the most powerful tool in the world. If you have your data on Google Sheets, you can have your data on Google Slides, on Canva, and anywhere, in Gmail even. That's the advantage of using Google Sheets. Why people use Google Sheets? First, because you can edit your data. And second, because combining data with multiple data sources becomes kind of easy. Now, why people transition to Google Looker Studio? They do it because they want to create beautiful reports and presentation dashboards. That's the reason why people use it in general. And second, because your data is synced automatically. So we have something here with Google Sheets and Looker Studio. The problem with Google Sheets is that it is time consuming because there is some manual labor. But the good thing is that it is like Zapier. You can move your data everywhere. The good thing about Looker Studio is that your data is visual, is beautiful. The problem is stability in general sometimes. The third step, which you might think, hey, after some time a company needs to move to Google BigQuery. I wouldn't think that. Some companies will need to migrate to Google BigQuery. But the reason why companies migrate to this is, hey, I want to combine multiple data sources like Amazon, Shopify, Facebook, Google, and I have a lot of data. In that case, you might need a data warehouse. And the second thing is this concept of source of truth, which is a made up concept that someone used like 20 years ago. And the source of truth is this: when your company is large and your team is large, your sales team has some data for conversion. Your marketing team has another data for conversion, and your support team has another data for conversion. And the Facebook ads people have different data for conversion. They have different conversions. So people buy data warehouses so they can agree on a single metric that they can rely across the organization. If you are in a large organization, you will notice how painful it is to know what your actual sales. The most common question is, what is your sales? It is very hard to answer because everyone reports different data. What is the problem of Google BigQuery? By default, if you need or you think of Google BigQuery, you need SQL and you need engineers and you need to pay for those engineers and you need to pay more for those integrations. In general, these are the differences. And this was a quick summary or a snapshot on the integrations of Google Looker Studio. I am wondering if here we can discuss or have questions so far because we are covering here the part of the tools, the technology.
Yeah, I think from like I'll hop in with a question if anybody else has one. Is Juan, from your perspective, right? Google Sheets and BigQuery are both rows and columns, right? Like they both are kind of rows and columns that you can connect to Looker Studio if you want to. What would you be your example, or when should someone look from moving to Google Sheets as a destination
Yeah,
to using Looker Studio as a destination, like to using BigQuery as the destination of that data?
perfect. I have three examples. What I see, for instance, with agencies, some agencies have a markup or a commission on their services, and that data is very dynamic sometimes. So when people need to edit data, they need to manipulate it to change it somehow. Google Sheets is the best option. The second use case is when you want to have your data in other places, like Slack or Gmail. Hey, I want to create my alerts or I want to analyze my data with ChatGPT. In that case, having your data in Google Sheets lets you have your data everywhere. The example of Looker Studio, to me, is when you want to share your data with stakeholders. In Google Sheets, you have your data for your own analysis, for your team that is technical. But you go to Looker Studio when you want to present your data in meetings to non-technical people, to managers, and to clients. And finally, on BigQuery is when you have a lot of data or you need to be compliant with privacy because you're a larger company. To me, those are the differences in general.
Awesome. Yeah.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's just a size thing of Google
Yeah.
Sheets is really easy to start. right? You can say,
Okay.
hey, I can get the data into Google Sheets. Even just like everyone kind of starts out copying and pasting things over, or if you just upload a CSV, or you can do all those different types of things. So I think that's like one of the easiest starting points. And then you've got um, BigQuery, which is when Google Sheets starts to break. That's how I think about it. Is when Google Sheets starts to break, then you have to say, okay, why is it breaking? Is it because I'm trying to combine all this data together? Like you only really have the function of like V lookups as far as like combining data together in Google Sheets, unless you want to get fancy with a query function, which like at that point you might as well use BigQuery. um, and then once that breaks, then use BigQuery. And then Looker Studio is that like the portal into that data for stakeholders. I think so very similar. In that capacity. Like I think that you can use Google Sheets, right? You can like, always make charts in Google Sheets, but they're just not as pretty. Yeah.
You're right. I mean, when people see Looker Studio, don't go back to Sheets for client
Yeah.
report. That's that's the thing. Now, everyone, let's talk about analyzing Facebook ads data. And this is important because this happens to me in every meeting when I have with agencies, with teams, and I have to with small agencies, with large agencies, with large marketing teams. And the problem with analyzing marketing data is when you have a connection or integration, there are like 700 fields. Facebook has like 500 or 800 fields or so on. Shopify has 200 fields. And people say, hey, Juan, do you know the 200 fields? Yes, I know because I have worked for in this thing for 4 years. But actually, you don't need to know the 500 fields. I mean, actually, analyzing data is so simple, but today I will show you how to think of it. So it is not overwhelming. So it is not technical. It is not nerdy. It is actually super simple to understand. And I will show you a framework. A framework will help you think of your marketing data in an easy way so you can understand or you can know, hey, I want to create this specific report with these specific metrics and these specific breakdowns. And the framework I will show you has only 5 steps. First, to understand your marketing data, we'll have to understand the strategy of the company. Then we want to identify the use cases that we want to solve with these reports. Then we will map the metrics that we need. Then we will add context to these metrics with comparisons. And finally, we will break down our data by segments. I will go through these steps in detail, but in general, you have 5 steps: strategy, use cases, metrics, context with comparisons, and segments. Let's start with the strategy. And I want to talk about this. A strategy is the most broad and generic term in the world that nobody understands in general, but this is how I will invite you to understand a strategy. In this step, I don't want you to think of a strategy or a new strategy. That's not necessary. Understanding a strategy means that you understand how your client or your company operates the business. And to do this, you'll need to answer 6 questions. You need to understand who the customers are, the 3 C's, who are the customers, what is the company doing, and what are my competitors. An intersection of these 3 elements, we have different things. For instance, the intersection of customers and companies, how my company gets customers. So the question is, what is my go-to-market strategy, how I get customers? I want to know who I am selling to, who is my customer. I want to know what I sell, what is my product, what is my business model, and my unit economics. That's super basic for marketing data. And I want to understand across all these things my positioning. And my positioning is who I am, for whom, and what is the problem I am solving that is different to my competitors. So, in general, when you think of marketing and when you want to address a new client, have a framework like this so you can understand your client and your company in general. That's everything that you need to understand. And I will show you a tactical thing that we are doing at Potter, for instance, because of course you are here for examples. Something that I am doing at Potter that is super fun is that we connected all our communication channels with customers with ChatGPT. So all our calls are transcribed with AI. All our chats are summarized with AI, and all our emails are summarized with AI. And we send these summaries to our Slack channels, to our Slack. And with this, we can have a sense of what our customers are complaining about, if they are good, if they have some questions, because understanding your customer is the most important piece of the key. And instead of me telling you, hey, please understand your customers, that's everything. That's something that everyone says, but Here is our tactical way to do it. What we are doing today is we connect ChatGPT, OpenAI through Zapier, we get summaries, and we have a constant digest of questions by people. So we can monitor the current questions, the current problems, and we can actually segment customers based on this data. Why this is important? Because this will help your company, your client, and you develop an intuition about your customers, jobs to be done, pain points, and questions. Qualitative is important to have context of your quantitative data. That's why I will encourage you all. This I know this is Lucre Studio, but if you have a constant flow of qualitative data, then we are into something to get started. That was the part of the strategy. Now the next step is understanding your use cases, and use cases are the solutions I have for someone or a specific problem or situation. This is important because if you create marketing reports, you have two reasons to marketing reports in general. You want to create marketing reports to influence your behavior and your team behavior because your metrics are feedback. If your metrics are going well, you are happy. If they are going wrong, you are sad. This happens to me all the time. Most of the times is sad, but that's the first thing. And these metrics influence your behavior because you are happy or sad based on the actual performance. And the second reason why you create reports is to go faster. And going faster is your unique competitive advantage because speed is doing the things right. And this data helps you make the decisions to do the right things faster. Now, what are the main use cases of creating marketing reports for you that you can clearly understand? First is that you want to answer operational questions. For instance, hey, I want to launch a campaign today. What I need to do? I ask questions or I create queries. The second is that you monitor your performance and of your team over time. That's the second reason why you create these reports so your teams are aligned towards goals and tasks. And finally, is to influence stakeholders like clients. Those are the main use cases of your reports. But let's see it in a different way so you can understand and you can map your use cases for creating reports. There are three types of people in your company. There are the people who execute, the analysts, there are the team or the managers, and there are the executives. And all of them have different kinds of reports that they want to see. Not everyone cares or needs the same reports. For instance, your analysts or the people running Facebook ads, they want to check their data hourly or daily. For instance, if you are doing a campaign for Black Friday, you are constantly seeing your data. But your manager doesn't have time to watch the dashboards all day. So they go to the dashboards every week or every month with their clients and the team to manage performance. And finally, your CEO or your CMO maybe will look at your dashboards once every 3 months or once every month to check your KPIs, your CPA, your customer lifetime value, and to know in what channel you need to spend your data. So when you think of when you need to create reports, think, hey, what is the frequency I need and who is the user of these reports? And with this logic, with this matrix, we have a map of use cases for your marketing reports. So I will give you some examples. If you are running Facebook ads, something that you want to do is ad pacing. You want to monitor your spend across your channels. You want, for instance, to know your peak hours if you are doing real-time campaigns. So you want to operate on this data today. The most common, and this is important, the most common frequency of marketing reports is weekly and monthly. And we can see that in the usage data of Porter metrics. Here, for instance, some use cases for your company. You want to do general client monitoring. You want to analyze your creatives. You want to compare your funnels or you want to visualize your funnels. This is something that you do in a weekly or monthly basis. You generally don't visualize your funnel every day. And finally, the final use case that you review quarterly or yearly is when you want to do your marketing plan for the year ahead. That's another reason why you want to use your marketing data. And with this, I won't explain that much on this, but a problem with marketing reports, and everyone will be familiar with this, is that marketing reports are not read. People ignore them. You build the reports and you ignore them, and you share the reports, and people will ignore them. So there are three things that you want to make sure for your reports. There are three types of terms of topics. I actually steal this from Reforge, which is a growth course. To make sure that people are reading your reports, you have three ways to do them. You can manufacture an incentive or a trigger to read the report. So for instance, scheduling meetings every week or every month. that will create a habit. Second, if you can have daily digest on email or Slack, that will create a habit or incentive to go back to a report. And finally, a good practice that we have a poller. We have a channel on Slack where we share wins. So when something is going well, when my CPA is lowering down, we share a screenshot with something that is going well. And that also helps with the morale of the team in general. The second is when people want to read my reports, and I want to make sure that my reports are well structured and well designed. And finally, if you want to increase the intensity of usage of your reports, you need these things. You need to have more use cases that people care about. You want to connect more data sources because some people don't care about Facebook ads, but they care about Facebook ads and Shopify and HubSpot and social media. And finally, the more your data is related to revenue, the more people will want to see it. If your data is not related to revenue, most people of your team won't care about that data at all. Social media reports are seen every month, and sales data is seen every hour. And, and we can relate this. Now, let's talk about the third step, which is metrics. I know that when you see Facebook ads, you see, hey, I have link clicks, outbound clicks, and many more types of clicks, but you don't need to think of that. When you think of your marketing metrics, you have three types. You have conversion metrics, engagement metrics, and visibility metrics. Conversion metrics are the actions or behaviors that represent value to your business. So the number of leads, the number of sign-ups, the number of purchases. The second type is if people are interacting with your content, with your ads, with your emails, and so on. And the third type is visibility, that shows if people are seeing, if I am reaching more people. So the metrics are traffic for a website, or I have impressions, or I have reach and followers. For engagement, I have, for instance, likes, shares, views, or clicks. In general, if you break down your metrics like this, now your metrics are super simple. You only need three types of metrics to visualize your data. And with this, it becomes simple. But there is something special. These three types of metrics are your funnel. I didn't do a funnel visualization, but this is how you map your funnel. And this funnel is important, and everyone talks about funnels because funnels describe beautifully the outcome and the inputs. The outcomes, or your lagging indicators, I will explain that later, is your conversion, your sale. But you cannot make decisions with your sales data, actually. You make decisions with your inputs because the inputs are the ones that you can influence and control. So instead of looking at conversions data to make decisions, conversion data is your output. Your input is, hey, I am getting more visibility and more engagement. Therefore, maybe I will have more conversions. That's why funnels are important, because they describe your outcomes and the inputs that will predict those conversions. But I have something else, and this will happen to you, and this doesn't happen in the marketing report. In your marketing reports on Google Looker Studio, you will have three types of metrics: conversion, engagement, and visibility, which are the actions and the outcomes. But there is another type of data that also help us predict our outcomes, which is productivity. And I track productivity not on Looker Studio. I track it actually on ClickUp, on Asana, on Notion. But we don't show this on the marketing reports. But these are the ones that managers actually should care about on a daily basis, because if I perform my actions, my activities, therefore I expect that I will have a result on my engagement and my conversion and visibility. That's why also considering productivity metrics as your main input is helpful, because they will help you predict your outcomes. An example here, for instance, I work mostly in SEO. SEO is a quantity game. I don't care about, hey, how many conversions I will get from SEO, because I don't know. But what I do is, hey, I want to know how many pages I am publishing. I know that if I publish more pages, then I will have more visibility and more conversions and so on. That's how you think of your marketing data. And this is another outcome I have for your marketing reports that you can add to your marketing reports. You don't only want to show your clients and your team your results. You want to show them a plan of action. And this is a framework that will help you prioritize your actions. So my invitation for you is that you can create a table. When you map all your activities for automating or optimizing your Facebook ads, and you will break down your activities depending on what type of metric they want to optimize. Hey, this activity is for optimizing conversion, this one is for engagement, this one is for visibility. For visibility, I will increase my spend and decrease my CPM. For engagement, I want to change my creatives. And for conversion, I want to change my landing page. And based on those, you will say, hey, these activities are working well, these ones are kind of working, and these ones are not working. First, you will prioritize conversion activities because they are high intent. If you impact these activities, you are more likely to have better impact in your sales. And second, focus on the activities that are kind of working because solving them is easier because there are low hanging fruits. Don't focus on the activities that are not working because they are harder to optimize. Now, we have reports, we have metrics, we have productivity metrics, and we have a plan of action for our customers with clear priorities. So far, how is it going? I am already showing you how to think of these use cases. I don't know if you have any questions, JJ, so far that maybe I can clarify.
No, I think it's great. Like I think it's one of the great ways that you can like really put it into a framework. One of the things that I always like try to, if you don't know what people are trying to do, it makes everything a lot less actionable. And
Yeah.
so, like, if, for example, from an SEO perspective, say you had 10,000 sessions to your site, right? Anybody here from SEO, but you published 1,000 articles a month, you'd be like, whoa, like this is not working out. Like we are not trying to be like it doesn't make any sense, right? Same thing for like if you see that you have 1,000 sessions from Facebook ads and you made $10,000 from Facebook ads, but you spent $100,000. Like you have to have those input pieces of knowing what you're doing, like the productivity aspect, in order to have that outcome. And then they are lined up, especially on that exact same. What we try to do at Vision Labs is we say like, what's the intention and what's the outcome, and like what are you trying to do and what is the outcome that you're trying to do. But this is like way more granular, and I really like it. So I see some people in the chat also saying that they like it as well. So I think you can just keep on going if you have. That's like really good. Yeah.
That's great, and that's very clear. For instance, when you want to optimize your CTR of Facebook ads, you don't say, "Hey, I want to optimize the CTR." That's hard. What you do is actually, "Hey, let's create this beautiful short form video." That's the actual OKR that will drive your behavior, not the actual outcome, because it is very hard to control. Now, now we understand the use cases, we understand the prioritization, you understand the formats to present your marketing data. Let's show some examples of use cases. So, for instance, but before this, I won't show you today how to connect your Facebook ads data because you can see it on Google and in our tutorials. But for those of you who don't know this thing, it's just, hey, I will connect my Facebook profile, then simply connect, I log into Facebook, I connect my data, close, and we are done. I only want to show you these steps because it actually takes like 2 minutes or 1 minute to connect. It depends on your Facebook, but it is super simple. But these are examples based on actual customers that we have seen, and these actual examples of marketing reports. These are default marketing report template. Do you remember our framework? We have 3 types of metrics: conversion, engagement, and visibility. That's how we are create our marketing reports. We show conversion metrics, we show engagement metrics, and visibility metrics. Conversion for Facebook ads is leads, purchases, your custom conversions. For engagement, I have clicks, shares, likes, reactions, and so on. And visibility, I have impressions and reach in general. So in general, you want to structure your reports in this way, or at least this is how we do it. But this is a beautiful use case I found, and this is a great idea for marketing teams. One of our users showed us or sent us this beautiful example, but this is for SEO. What this report is showing is that it combines your SEO performance with the Google's algorithm updates. And this combination is done with Google Sheets. So this person puts on Google Sheets all the updates of the Google algorithm. And I can compare my changes in traffic with those changes in the algorithm. What about if we extrapolate this to Facebook ads? What will you do? What about if you, in a Google Sheets, you put all your activities and tasks that you are doing, all the optimizations, all the changes in the creatives, all the changes in the objectives, and you compare it with your performance. So your client and you can see what thing had or represented the impact on your Facebook ads performance. Compare your activities and put them right here, and with dates, put the date when the activity happened, and you can see what is driving your performance, because it is very hard to look at the past when you don't have a reference on what did you do to this new outcome. So this example was beautiful. Another example for marketers: when you create engagement campaigns on social media and organic social media, how do you calculate your ROI? It is very hard to say, hey, I have 500 clicks or 500 likes. That's great, right? No, I don't know. But a way to measure your ROI is take your CPM of Facebook ads, take your actual impressions on organic social media, and what about if you do like an opportunity cost exercise? How much money I would have spent on Facebook ads if I had both these impressions on Facebook ads, but they were organic. So for instance, in October 25, I had 15,000 impressions. If I had paid for that reach on Facebook ads, I will be spending $700, but this reach was organic. So I saved the company in this day, save $700. This is a way to calculate the ROI of your social media performance, the organic social media performance. This is a beautiful use case for social media teams. What is another use case, and this is the most common one, is the funnel. Funnel to visualize the buyer journey from the click, from the impression, to the add to cart, to the purchase, so you can analyze why you are not converting, in what step people are dropping. The other example is the cross-channel report or the multi-channel report, when I can combine multiple data sources like Facebook, TikTok, and Google Ads. This is another example. And this is another example for agencies is, hey, in a single dashboard, I can monitor multiple clients' performance in a single view. What is the common behavior, the standard behavior? One day per month or per week, you will go through all the Facebook ads managers of your clients to see how things are going on. Instead, you can create a single table combining the data of all these ad accounts, and you can see a snapshot of your general performance. And you can see what account managers are doing great or what clients are doing poorly. That's another example to visualize your data. Another beautiful example, and this was, when I saw it, was the most beautiful thing in the world. This is something. The way the way we analyze marketing data is based on data source. Hey, I will analyze my Google Ads data. I will analyze my Facebook Ads data separately. What this client did is that this client combined the data of Google Ads and Facebook Ads, and he broke down the data of both channels by product. So this table that you're seeing below is breaking down by product the performance of Google Ads, of Facebook Ads, and combine it with the conversion of GA4. This is a way to visualize your business by product and not by channel. That's a beautiful example. A common example for performance monitoring is track your performance, your CPA, your conversions versus a goal, so you can do changes in the time. Another way to visualize your data is your creatives. Hey, I want to see the images who are performing better, what is the CTR, what creatives are doing poorly. Another example, for instance, this template is comparing multiple creatives or two creatives to see which one is doing better for an A/B testing. And with this, I am showing you that you can come up with multiple use cases with your marketing data. You don't only need a Facebook ads dashboard. You need to think of the use cases that you want to solve. And this was the framework. So the framework is a strategy, use cases, and metrics breakdowns. We are missing two steps: add context with comparisons and segments. As you can see, I haven't spoken about ROAS or CPC or CPA, and that's for a reason. Because if you think of that separately, there are many metrics. Now I will show you how you will take your engagement metrics, your conversion metrics, and visibility metrics, and you will compare them to something. So when you take your metrics, you will compare them to five things, or you will break them down to five things. The first one is that you will compare versus a goal. So I have 550 conversion on Facebook and my target is 60. That's the first thing. You will compare your Facebook ads data versus a time period. I will compare my current conversions versus the last month. The other way to compare your data is an input versus an output. And pay attention to this. You have conversion rates, you have click-through rates, you have open rates, you have engagement rates. Those seem like too many metrics, right? But they actually represent the same thing. Rates are the comparison between an input and an output. and that is effectiveness. So for instance, engagement rate, what is? I had this many impressions, and from these impressions, I had this many engagements. So the effectiveness of my social media post to convert into engagements. My CTR, I had this many impressions and this many clicks. What percentage of impressions ended up in a click? That's my CTR. That's the click-through rate. And conversion rate, I had this many visits in my website, and I had this many conversions. So as you can see, your rates, your open rates are the same thing. It's the comparison of an audience that you reach and how many of these people did what you wanted to do. That's effectiveness. So in general, these metrics are the same thing.
Yeah,
You want to also
I love how
go
you
ahead.
did that, Juan, of like making that the rates are those like percentages of change off of the start and then the end, right? Of like how does
Yeah,
it the two different comparisons, all of those rates are almost the same thing. And then the cool part is like with your like framework that you've had and like the other one that you showed before is that you then have the ability to break those down by something that makes sense, right? Like you can break it down by day, by week, you can break it down by campaign or by any of those nuances and use the same exact framework to do that at a granular level or at a higher level. So it's like really cool to see how you're like building that framework and then allowing somebody else to like change into their application, right? If they're like an agency or if they're an SEO team or if they're ever like they can use the same exact framework and then
exactly.
break it down by what they can do, right? So it's super helpful.
That's great. I actually, to me, this is nerdy that most people won't care about when I talk
Oh,
of this.
we can nerd
This,
out. It's okay. We
this
can
is
give
it
yeah.
is super simple to think of this. Actually, yeah, with this, you don't need to think of metrics. For instance, in SEO, there is also CTR, impressions and clicks. That's the same thing. It's input versus output. The next, and is the most important one, is comparing your performance data with budget. So, hey, I want to compare my clicks to ad spend, and that's the CPM, that's the CPC, that's the CPA. That's the same thing. Is ad spend versus impressions, ad spend versus clicks, ad spend versus revenue. That's how you think of comparing your data with actual money of your company. And finally, and the least common one is benchmarks, comparing your performance against competitors. But this is how you compare your data in general. As you can see, the framework for comparing data is super simple, and you don't have that many metrics if you think of this way. Now I want to show you to add context by also breaking down your data in different pieces or different ways. I will show you this. You have your Facebook ads data, let's say your conversions or your clicks. This is the final step of the framework. Hey, I want to break down my Facebook ads by client, by product, by ad account. That's the first level of comparison. Then you want to break down your data by channel. Hey, I want to see my conversions by Google Ads, by Facebook Ads, by SEO. Then you compare by your campaign. Hey, I want to break down my data by conversion campaigns, engagement campaigns, and impression campaigns. And finally, hey, I want to break down my data by the audience, by country, by the type of creative, and so on. And finally, the content is, hey, I want to break down my data by placement. I want to see my conversions from the feed, from Instagram, from Facebook, and so on. So as you can see, comparing your data and breaking it down only has 5 levels to do it. And with this, as you can see, you have a framework to think of your marketing data in a super simple way. I will stop here because I wanted to talk about values and these things, but with this, until this, the presentation is showing you an actionable way to connect your data and also to think of your data with Facebook ads. And with this, I want you, JJ, to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, no, I love it. Like this is what we talk about so much with like all of our clients, all of our students, like everybody is that how you think about it is almost I would say it's 90% of like what you're doing and 10% is the actual button pushing of like putting the things on the page, like doing the thing like that because you can actually have much more impact with an ugly looking report that has the correct breakdowns and metrics based off of the business goals than you can have with a really good looking report that doesn't tell you what to do. And I think the more that you can get that granular, like I think a lot of people just have that innately in them, right? Where they're like, oh, I know what I would like. I know what they would do. I know what I want in front of me, but some people don't. And I think this framework is super helpful. If anybody has questions, like drop them in the chat. Like we're happy to field those questions. I see Julio and Maria and a whole bunch of other people that have been things, but I think we can touch those on the end. But overall, Juan, I think it's been like this has been awesome to see how you think about these, especially from the context of SEO, connectors, and everything else. So it's been great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. No, I think that if people maybe don't need to apply this framework perfectly, but that they have a sense of not just putting metrics into a dashboard, because you can see that many people who create dashboards in Create Studio fill a single dashboard with 50 metrics. That is useless for them, for everyone. Actually, in the part of culture and values, I wanted to mention that most of dashboards don't work because they are not intentional. I do a dashboard because I was ordered to do a dashboard, not because I want to make it useful. Or I create dashboards and I don't want to reflect transparency with my client and I want to hide the bad metrics, which is also, if you are failing in these values and these beliefs, then your dashboards from there are useless. I talked from tools to systems to culture, but in terms of relevance and priority, first is culture. If the culture is wrong, then everything is wrong.
Totally. Yeah. That's exactly it. So yeah, if we get, what we can do is I see there's a couple questions in the chat, but um is there anything else like that you wanted to like on the specifically of beliefs, values, and actions? Like honestly, um like I think that's the most important piece, but I would love to hear any other pieces that you got on that.
Yeah, okay, aquí, here, I say that in Spanish, sorry. Uh, there are the four things that you want to do in general with this data and with these values. And I want to tell you this because during the latest days, I had companies and agencies when I onboard them, and they explicitly say, hey, I would like to show this data, but it doesn't make me look good. Second, their client won't care about the data that they are showing, and that makes it useless. I can tell with Power Metrics and every connector company, many of our reports are never read because of this part. And third, and this happens to you maybe for your clients, we also think a lot of technology, a lot of tools, a lot of complexity, and we never deliver value. So when thinking of this, you want to be intentional, so you care that you are doing the right job. You want to be transparent, so you are willing to show the good and the bad thing. And finally, especially, is you want to do something that is practical that works today. That's why Google Sheets is beautiful, because Google Sheets you can start from day one. With BigQuery you cannot start with day one. And finally, maybe it's reciprocity. Even though you have marketing data, you want to measure things. The most important thing in marketing is delivering value first, even if you cannot measure things. That's why I wanted to take on these ones. But in general, this is my take on everything on reporting.
Yeah, no, I really like that. Like I think that's one of the most the most impactful thing, right? For everybody who's watching, like the most impactful thing for reporting. Like we do this every single day. That's like all that we do is that we manage reporting, we manage all these different types of things. And the hardest part of any of this is knowing what someone else cares about. So then you can then answer that question, right? Like that's the question, like that's the goal is like you can ask a question, but if you don't know what to do with that answer, um, it's pretty much useless. And so if you can marry those up to like what you're saying, it becomes much more actionable. Let's go into like some of these the questions here. I think there's a button I can hit and it will answer the questions. Let me find these. Dun, dun, dun. There is a button here. Okay, let's see if I hit this button here. Hey, does that show up? I think it's to show up for both screens. All right, so Maria says connect sessions that GA4 report and match those to each campaign. With GA4, you cannot do that anymore. Is there additional connector that I can pay for? So I'm going to do this again. I think it's possible now. Like I think GA4's default connector has been slowly updating, slowly. But I think session campaign and user campaign are now available. Juan, I don't know if that's if you have another answer on that, but that's yes.
Yeah, I mean, at the UTM level, the campaign side, I think that people can bring source. I will need to check for campaigns, but yeah, I think that those fields are already available.
Yeah, it's one of those things that keeps moving. Like it's always difficult to know exactly what's happening inside of those connectors. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, I think this might be a good question, Juan, on your side. Google Manager ad account for agency. Is there something that for Facebook too, where you can combine all clients' Facebook ad accounts apart from Business Manager? I'm thinking like outside, inside of Looker Studio. So
Yeah, I don't actually. Yeah, you can do that. You can bring multiple ad accounts in a single connection, and you can create a table where you break down your performance data by ad account, so you can have a snapshot of all your clients. So that's one of the beautiful use cases. I didn't show how to do it, but if you want to do it, you can go maybe to our templates or reach out to us, and we may assist you in this part.
awesome on that.
Yeah.
Um, and all right, can this framework be applied in small companies?
Yes, this actually is thought for small companies because all marketing data is the same, regardless if you are small or large. All marketing data is engagement, conversion, and impressions, whatever you do. And all your data is broken down by campaign, by product, and so on. So I think this is super generic. That's the objective of frameworks, that they are general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, all right, and then dun, dun, dun. Okay. Um, yeah, so I think those are most. I was going to share one more slide here for anybody who wants to. So over at visionlabs.com/FB, we've got like a course on like Facebook analytics, a lot of things about how to think about, and we are adding to that. Like we add pretty often. Also, if anybody here wants to, you can use the coupon code Porter for pretty much $100 off of anything that we have. We've got like a few courses, and we also have the lab, which is really, really like it teaches you kind of everything from Tag Manager to Looker Studio to GA4 to Facebook analytics and everything in between. But I just want to kind of throw that out there for people who are here. It expires November 1st. But if anybody has any questions on that, like feel free to reply to any of the emails you got from us for this webinar. We don't like do a lot of deals and things, but we just figured, hey, if you stayed, you showed up, you can use one of those, and then we'll keep answering questions here. So I'm going to just throw it out there. We'll go back to answering some questions on this piece.
Yeah. Okay. We have some questions there, right?
Yeah.
Um, actually, I didn't say anything about Potter. I,
Oh
but
yeah.
anyways, no, but in general, if you go to our website and you try, you have 14 days. But if you go to the chat and say, "Hey, I watched your webinar. Can you give me 14 days?" That's our coupon code. That's how we do it. So
The best coupon codes there. Just go to
yeah,
the
if you
chat
want to,
and
hey, I
yeah.
saw one in the webinar. Please, can you give it? Yeah, we will do it. We are super easy going with that.
Yeah.
In general, so we have some questions. Maybe you can throw them out.
Yeah. Here, let me just let's go with a difficult one first. All right. I'm going to start with Juan. You can take this one first. How should companies be thinking about third-party attribution?
Uh, in my view, this is only for larger companies or companies with a large budget when attribution starts to become painful. I wouldn't care about attribution that much beyond GA4 after a certain level, because implementing attribution to me sometimes is expensive and complex. If you want to jump into an attribution tool, you can expect that you will pay over $1,000 or $2,000 per month easily for these solutions, and you want to make sure that everything is correctly. What I will do is having good enough accuracy with GA4 and then jumping into this. Now, third party attribution, that's another story. But in general, attribution is, I tend to avoid it the most, more often than I don't.
Yeah, I think I'll give you guys my 2 cents as well. Not that you asked because we got Juan here, but in general, like third party attribution, just for everyone who's like, what the heck is third party attribution? That's like using like Facebook, like attribution models or Google's attribution model or any of those types of things. And usually what happens when you're spending money on multiple platforms and that volume is, and you start spending more and more, is that you end up having where Google says that you spent $1,000 and you made $3,000. And then you go to Facebook and it says you spent $1,000 and you made $3,000, and you go to your bank account and it says you made $5,000, and you're like, wait a second, like I've got more money in these attribution platforms than I have in my bank account. They're not wrong, right? Attribution is a sticky question. Like they're not incorrect, meaning that like they probably did help with some of those people, but that entire like multiple platforms are taking account for things. in general, like what I would recommend to people is that you look at last click from like a what was the intention, back to Juan's framework here, is like what was the intentionality of that. For example, like if you have a blog post about like 10 ways to not get skin cancer, and you're a SaaS company, like you might get a lot of traffic, but you're not going to get any conversions because that's nothing to do with your product, right? But like if you have the best Facebook ads template for Looker Studio as a blog post, and then you give away a Looker Studio template, you're probably going to have a much higher conversion rate on that. And then if you run ads to that, or SEO, or any traffic sources, it becomes more actionable to do something with. That's kind of my take on it.
I I have more. There are many things about that. That's
Yeah.
more things. First, I will think of attribution if your buying process is complex. If your buying process is simple, one step, like from ads, in general, I wouldn't care about more because last click attribution works great. This is actually how we will take on this on Porter metrics. If you have a complex purchase process or this is a pain for you, these are these tools like Triple Whale that you can add a pixel and you can work with them. I guess that they start at $1,000. Shopify invested in them. How we will solve this problem though will be that we will let you combine your UTMs on GA4, on HubSpot and Shopify, and we will match those UTMs with your Facebook ads data or your Google ads data. So you can have the last click attribution across all of this. And what we will do with AI is that we will clean the UTMs. That's what we will do. We won't do any other thing because if you want to go on a next level of attribution, you will need to install pixels and do more complex things. Someone asked about ChatGPT.
Oh yeah. Let's see that.
Yeah.
I'm like, where
How do you
is
integrate
that?
ChatGPT?
Ooh, good old Chat GPT questions. AI.
Of course, that's the thing. Uh, for those people interested in on how to integrate them, some competitors already integrate ChatGPT natively in the connectors. We haven't done it because we are focusing more on stability, but the answer is if you have your data on Google Sheets, there are already many extensions, many Google Sheets add-on that let you import OpenAI on Google Sheets. And you can use OpenAI on Google Sheets with your Facebook ads data and you can create automatic summaries from it. This is the way to connect ChatGPT to your marketing data. And if you want to connect it to Slack and these things and Gmail, you can use Zapier because remember the logic of Zapier. Every new row or every new column will trigger an automation. So you can say for every new row of Facebook ads data, please send it to Slack, for instance, or pass it through OpenAI, create a summary, and then send it to Slack. That's actually very simple. I am thinking of creating a tutorial on that.
Yeah. Um, all right. There's another AI question. I'm going to say that we answered that as well. Like, for example, integrating Chat GPT and Slack threads. Um, like, I think that we got there. Copywriting, track copywriting. Ooh, would love to hear your thoughts on this. Is there any way to track copywriting performance? And I'll scope this to like the page. Imagine if you have like a sales page, um, and you want to track copywriting performance of like how well is the copy performing. What are your thoughts on that, Juan?
Uh, that's super complex. I will
Yeah.
tell you why. I mean, someone will tell you, yeah, you can do experiments and A/B testing by changing, but to me, most of them are bullshit because the statistical variance or significance of those experiments by changing the copy to me are irrelevant because it is too much effort just to validate something. I think most copy is bad already, so you don't need to experiment, you need to make it good. And I will optimize to make it better, not to test multiple things. And second, this is my take on that. Actually, my answers are terrible because I don't tell you how to solve it, but I tell you, hey, don't do it. That's the
Yeah.
first step. Uh, the most important conversion rate factor in the world is your offer and the intent. Some of the pages of Porter metrics have a conversion rate of 20%. And the reason why is not because our pages are beautiful. It's because we have a high intent traffic and some of our offers are good. It's free report template that you otherwise will pay for. So I think if you focus on the offer, in the value proposition of that page, rather than the copy itself, I think that's the Pareto. That's the most important thing
Yeah.
to optimize for.
Yeah, and everyone's still here. We've got like a demo thing that you can take a look at. I just put it in the chat of just kind of like our reporting things for like our agency of how we look at that data. Um, so I think that's also another way to look at it. If you go to that, you can like see the actual performance of our pages. Um, but yeah, I think that's all of the questions here. There's a couple of other quick ones. Mir says like, can I add segments in Looker Studio? Via the GA4 connector, it's not possible, or any of the like the best option you got is adding audiences and either using a connector or like that pulls it to sheets that you had a filter to just include that segment, or um, just using a filter in Looker Studio to that audience. But the problem is it doesn't retro, and also it's really hard to change once you set it up. And if you start changing things, it just becomes really, really complicated to like note that down. Um, there. So I think those are all the questions. Um, and I think that's it, folks. Everyone who's still here, we're gonna email this recording out here in a few, and we will be seeing you around. So if, again, the special offer we have is the coupon code Porter, and if you go to Porter Metrics, you also have the ability to just say, "Hey, I was on the webinar," and you can say that they'll give you a longer trial on that
My
as well.
my favorite attribution system ever.
Yeah, the best attribution system, honestly, is hey, I saw you here. That works out. So, all right, guys, it's been an awesome pleasure, and we will see you guys around. And it has been great seeing you all. So, all right.